So hello everyone, it's Mr Hegarty here and it's our second YouTube live lesson. Thanks so much for joining. It's a real pleasure to speak to you today. Thank you so much for giving up your time and also for coming here today to listen and do some maths. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're safe, you're well, your family, your friends, yourself, your neighbours, everyone's well. Remember, it's a difficult time out there, but all we can do is try to do something positive with some of the spare time we've got. And that's what these YouTube live sessions are about. So big shout out to everyone on the chat. Give me a hello. Nice one. So just to remind you why we're doing these sessions, guys. So the reason we're doing these sessions, they're particularly for you guys in year 11 out there who, you know, your exam is not happening in some of the GCSE, but you're thinking about A-level maths. This is a little bit of a little and often practice for you guys to cover top-end GCSE stuff and the stuff that comes up at the start of the A-level. We're not going fully into the A-level just yet, but we're just covering off those key concepts. All right. And before we get going today, just want to give you a little bit of a motivational quote that really helps me in my life. The quote is, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit." And I try and live my life by that. I fail often. I don't always manage to do this. But what the basic essence is little and often good deeds, and trying to do a little bit every day is much more powerful and much more helpful to your future than just cramming and going crazy. And that's what these sessions are about. We're not here for 2 hours. We're not here for 5 hours trying to deal with A-level maths in one go. We're going to meet up every now and again, do a little bit of maths, feel good about ourselves, and move on with our day. All right? Lovely stuff. So today we are continuing our work on Surds. We're doing a little bit more tricky stuff. We're expanding brackets with Surds. And what I need is your brain and your attention. Okay. A device to watch and a pen and paper. That's really important. Please write along as I do. It's really, really important that as I do an example, you copy me. And when I say do an example yourself, you write that down. As I said yesterday, if you don't write it down, the session's as good as a teapot made of chocolate, which is no good to anyone. And just bring a can-do attitude. Thanks for coming today. Pleasure to speak to you. We can do it, guys. Right, let's go. Let's do some maths straight in. Surds yesterday, we learnt about those bad boys. They're really a bit tricky. They come about by taking a square root and getting an irrational number. All right? So a few of the things we learned yesterday, just to remind you, if you weren't here, you can watch the session afterwards. It's all posted on a YouTube video. But we learned these important rules. When you're multiplying or dividing square roots, you can combine them in the following ways. You can have the square root with the two numbers multiplied or divided. But what you can't do, we talked about this being a chocolate cake that you just don't want to eat. If you've got the square root of a number, add the square root of another number, you can't just say that's the square root of the two numbers added. All right? Just be careful of that. It'll come up later and I'm going to point that out again. And we needed to know our square numbers. Right, I'm going to ask you some questions now. Based on this rule, the square root of a number multiplied by the square root of another number is equal to the square root of the two numbers multiplied. Tell me the answer to this. Put it in the chat. A lot of you are saying 2. Lovely stuff, guys. So let me just show you why that is. Because based on our rule above, this is the same as the square root of 2 multiplied by 2, which is the square root of 4, which is just 2. All right? Now just notice we've got the square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of 2, and we get the answer 2. What's the answer to this one? Type it in the chat if you can. If you can't, just write it down and I'll show you how to do it in a sec anyway. What's the answer to this one? Root 7 multiplied by root 7. Lovely stuff, guys. We're all saying the answer 7 there. Remember, there's a long way to do it. It's the square root of 7 multiplied by 7, which is the square root of 49, which gives us the answer 7. But, guys, hopefully you're spotting that 7, and that 7 are common. Maybe you don't have this step. The square root of 7 multiplied by the square root of 7 just gives you 7. Maybe you don't have to do that step. So, one more. Tell me that straight off the bat without multiplying 915 by 915. Lovely stuff, guys. You guys get 915. Lovely. And the rule of this is, and this is something we're going to need in this lesson, if you have the square root of a number multiplied by the square root of the same number, the answer is just the original number without any square roots. And we're going to need that, okay? So, I'm actually going to get straight on with some questions today. We're starting expanding brackets with surds. It's hopefully going to start okay, and I'm going to build it up a bit more as we go along. One key message today is, it's not just about getting the answer. What I'm trying to show you guys is techniques to write your workings properly. At A level, the workings are so long, they could be half a page long, a page of maths and algebra all over the place. Half the battle is actually writing stuff neatly so you know what you're doing. So, please don't worry about racing in with answers. Just follow my process and copy as we go. So, first question I'm doing today, please copy with me. We are working out without a calculator. Evaluate means work out. The square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of 8 plus the square root of 50. Now, just before I show you how to do it, remember that chocolate cake I said avoid like the plague. Whatever you do, guys, do not think this is root 58 here. You can't do that. You can't say this is root 2 times root 58. You cannot do that. When you're adding surds or square roots, you can't combine them in this way. It's an absolute no-no. So avoid that. What we are going to do, though, is we are going to, like when we're doing basic algebra, we are going to multiply each term in the bracket by square root 2. So watch me. The square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of 8 plus the square root of 50. All we're going to do is we're going to say, I'm going to multiply each term inside the bracket by square root 2. So that's root 2 multiplied by root 8, add root 2 multiplied by root 50. Now, by our laws of square roots, we know that you can do this. So we can combine these into the square root of 2 times 8, add the square root of 2 times 50, copy along, and this is the square root of 16, add the square root of 100, and this is where the magic happens. 16 is a square number, its square root is 4. So this simplifies nicely to 4. 100 is a square number, its square root is 10 because 10 times 10 is 100. So we get the following. And combining those, we have found our answer is equal to 14. So square root 2 multiplied by bracket square root 8 plus square root 50 is equal to 14. Lovely stuff, guys, and that's our answer. Right, over to you. You're going to do this. I'm going to keep stum. I'm going to give you a minute or so to answer this. So, evaluate without a calculator showing all your workings the following. $15. I'm seeing a lot of 15s. Let's reveal that answer, guys. and I got 15 like you. Now, I was a bit cheeky there. I gave you a fairly big multiplication to do in the middle of it, but a lot of you guys got 15. Anyone struggling? Anyone didn't follow me along? It's okay, guys. This is all recorded. I'm going to give you the slides afterwards to go back through, and you can watch me again at your own leisure. But nice one. I see a lot of 15s there. Now, I'm going to make it more tricky. Sorry, that was the easiest one you get today. Let's get a little bit more difficult. Here's our next question of the day. Express in the form a plus b square root 3 the following. So we've got a pair of brackets multiplying together. State the values of a and b. So when we're doing this, what we're going to do is we're trying to work out 4 plus square root 3 multiplied by 1 plus 2 square root 3. Now what I'm going to show you here, this is something you may or may not have seen. Whenever I have a double bracket, especially in A level, I'm going to do a line of working at the start to help me get this right always. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take 4 and multiply it by the whole of the second bracket. So I'm going to say that's 4 bracket 1 plus 2 root 3. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with the second item plus root 3, and I'm going to say plus root 3, again multiplied by the whole of the second bracket, as follows. Okay? And when we do that, it makes life a bit easier because we've got a single bracket to expand. Now, some of you may say I do grid method for this, I do foil, I do all sorts of things. I find this very helpful, and it helps in A level when the questions get long. So expanding that out, 4 multiplied by 1 is 4, 4 multiplied by 2 root 3, 4 times 2 is 8, and keep that bad boy root 3 there. Then we're going to do root 3 multiplied by 1 is just root 3. And lastly, root 3 multiplied by 2 root 3. So I'm just going to, for now, just write that as 2 root 3 multiplied by another root 3. So tidying this up, I've still got my 4. 8 root 3 plus a root 3. This is really 1 root 3. So I've got 4 plus 9 lots of root 3. And as we talked about earlier, root 3 times root 3 just gives me 3. So I've got 2 times 3 from this term, which is 6. Adding those together, you've got 4 and a 6 to give you 10, combining the like integers, and we've got plus 9 root 3. So the answer here is A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 9, and we're done. Now, a lot of you, you could type this in the calculator and get it in one go. It's not about that. It's about showing you're working. You get lots of method marks in the exam. It's about laying things out neatly. Your turn. Make sure you're writing down. Off you go. And type A and B in the chat when you think you have them. So there's a lot of people here getting answers. There's some common answers here. A is 26 from Samina. B is 11. Let's do a reveal and see what we get, guys. So I got A is 26 and B was 11. Lovely stuff. Okay. Remember, if you're struggling, it's okay. You can come back to this. Some of you may have seen this before. That's okay too. As the days go on, we will do more and more material, and at some point I'll cover some stuff you guys don't know. Right, next question. Here we go. Express in the form A plus B root 3 the following. Just before I show you how to do it, do not make this mistake. Some people will go, 5 plus 3 root 3 squared. It just means I square the 5 and I square the 3 root 3. It's not that. Remember, when you've got a bracket squared, it's 5 plus 3 root 3 in one bracket multiplied by 5 plus 3 root 3 in another bracket. So let's just convert that into how we had it before. So we've got 5 plus 3 root 3 bracket multiplied by 5 plus 3 root 3. All right? Now remember, this isn't about getting the answer as absolutely quick as possible. It's about showing you're working. So I write 5 and I multiply it by the second bracket. So I just write 5 multiplied by the second bracket. And then what I do is I write positive 3 root 3 and multiply it by the second bracket. Okay, that allows me to expand these much more easily. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 multiplied by 3 root 3 is 15 root 3. Then over here, we've got ourselves 3 root 3 multiplied by 5. That again gives me 15 root 3. And the last one, 3 root 3 times 3 root 3. I'm not going to deal with that just now. I don't want to overload myself. I could do this in my head, but I'm going to make sure I get my method mark by writing the first line down. So tidying up, I've got 25. 15 root 3, add another 15 root 3, gives me 30 root 3. And this last one here, let's just deal with this slower. 3 times 3 gives me 9. And root 3 times root 3 is 3. So I've got 9 multiplied by 3, which gives me plus 27. Then combining the integers, 25 and 27 is equal to 52. And I've got 52 plus 30 root 3 in the form asked, a plus b root 3, where a is 52 and b is equal to 30. And we're done. Okay, guys, it's going to be over to you now. So remember to show you're working. It's not a race. It's not about typing it in the calculator or Google. Here you go. Have a go at this one. State A and B in the chat when you like. Ooh, answers are coming in here. Sebastian, Bavini, Henry M. Some good work here. Asmol, lovely stuff. Wow, some people have actually learned how to type in square roots in the chat. Nice work. So, the answer to this particular question turns out to be 69 plus 28 root 5, where A is 69 and B was 28. So a lot of you were getting that, which is really quite cool. If you didn't get that, some aren't getting that, you can rewatch the video afterwards and go over it at your own leisure. Right, let's have a go at another one. Next question. So here, same idea as before. I'm going to get straight into it. Don't fall for the squaring trick that I mentioned earlier. Write this as 2 root 3 take away 1 multiplied by 2 root 3 take away 1. Remember, I just then take 2 root 3 and multiply it by the whole of the second bracket. So that's 2 root 3 brackets 2 root 3 take away 1. And then what I do is I write the, now be careful here, take away 1. So negative 1 multiplied by 2 root 3 take away 1. Expanding that out, 2 root 3 times 2 root 3. I'm not going to deal with that just now. I'm just going to write it out and give me time to work it out later. 2 root 3 times negative 1 is negative 2 root 3. Next bracket, we've got negative 1 multiplied by 2 root 3. That's negative 2 root 3. And negative 1 multiplied by negative 1 is positive 1. Now we can collect some like terms in here, and we can also deal with this one here. So on my next line of working, 2 times 2 is 4. And root 3 times root 3 is 3. So we've got 4 times 3 there. So we're going to get ourselves 12. So we've got 12 here. Negative 2 root 3 and another negative 2 root 3 is negative 4 root 3. And we've got plus 1. And combining those integers at the end, we've got 13 take away 4 root 3. So in this case, our A was 13. And our B, because it's positive B here, but we've actually got negative 4, B must be equal to negative 4, and we're done. Right, guys, over to you. The reason I included it is because the negatives makes it a bit trickier, so I want you to practice one. Off you go. So we're getting some answers coming in here. Now remember, if it's going a bit fast and you haven't had enough time, you can re-watch this, and I'm going to post the slides after so you can redo it all. But a lot of good answers coming in there, guys. Really, really positive stuff. So what I'm seeing is that the answer was 49 subtract 12 root 5. So A was 49 and B was negative 12. Really good stuff. Right, we're going to try another one now. Something to spot here. So we've got root 7 take away 1 multiplied by root 7 plus 1. Just see what happens. Do it the normal way we've been doing before. Root 7 take away 1 multiplied by root 7 plus 1. So that's root 7 multiplied by the second bracket, as I've been doing before. And then we've got subtract 1, so negative 1 multiplied by the second bracket. Now, root 7 multiplied by root 7, I'm just going to, what was that? I'm just going to write that down, root 7 multiplied by root 7. I've got root 7 multiplied by 1 is plus root 7. Then I've got negative 1 multiplied by root 7 is negative root 7. And I've got negative 1 multiplied by positive 1 is just negative 1. Now, some magic happens here. A couple of bits of magic, actually. Firstly, root 7 multiplied by root 7 is just 7, right? Secondly, positive root 7 take away a root 7 gives me no root 7s. So they go. So they just go. And I've still got my negative 1. So I've still got my negative 1. And I get the answer 6. So I found that root 7 take away 1 multiplied by root 7 plus 1 is equal to 6. So I want you to do one just like this and see what you get. Type the answer in when you get it. Now, you know what, guys? I really, really appreciate you typing in the chat here. There's some really good chat going on. And what I'm seeing is there's an answer of 7 for some people and an answer for 9 for other people. This is really good, right? The actual answer was 7, right? It was 7. But what the people who got 9 did is they thought it was 11 take away 2, which would have given 9. It's 11 take away 2 times 2. Right, it was 11 take away 4, which would have given you 7. All right, now I'm going to try and show you something here. In all the examples we did before, if you look, in all the examples when we're squaring out these double brackets, we always end up with a root at the end. But in this particular case, in both these cases, the square root went away and we were just left with a simple answer 6 and a simple answer 7. Now, this is something you may remember that you've done with your teachers in school called the difference of two squares. Whenever you see this setup, a number a plus b in a bracket multiplied by a take away the same number b in another bracket, the answer is always just a squared take away b squared. It's called the difference of two squares. You see it loads in GCSE, you see it probably even more at A level. You've got to spot it. Now, that means when we were doing the question before, there was a quicker way of doing it. Because if I was to do root 7 take away 1 multiplied by root 7 plus 1, rather than do all the expanding, what I could have done is gone, oh, that's like a take away b, a plus b. Root 7 take away 1, root 7 plus 1. So the answer is just root 7 squared take away 1 squared. Root 7 squared is 7, take 1 squared is 1, so 7 take away 1 is equal to 6. So there's a much quicker way of doing stuff like this. The example I gave you guys, root 11 take away 4, really important we do this together because some of you got it wrong. Root 11, take away 2 multiplied by root 11 plus 2. It's a difference of two squares. A root 11 take away 2 multiplied by root 11 plus 2. So we could have spotted that as just root 11 all squared take away 2 squared. And root 11 squared is 11, 2 squared is 4. So that's 11 take away 4, which was 7. That's why it wasn't 9. So I want you to have a go at these ones using this technique, right? So I'm going to actually just pause and let you do the my turn one. See if you can do that one yourself. I'm going to be writing but not talking. See if you can do it yourself. So yeah, I got -1 when I did it. I spotted it was a difference of two squares. So it was 2 plus root 5 multiplied by 2 take away root 5. And therefore the answer was 2 squared take away root 5 squared, which is 4 take away 5, which is -1. Loads are getting that in the chat. Lovely, lovely stuff, people. Right, over to you, another one. Have a go at this. Purposely put a little trick in there, a little trick. So tell me what you think the answer is here. We're getting a lot of answers in here. There was a couple of people thinking it's -1 or 1. I've purposely put 8 and 7 in there to sort of throw you a little bit. But some of you said it's 57. It was. This was a scenario of a plus b multiplied by a subtract b. So the answer is 8 squared take away root 7 squared. 8 squared is 64. Take away 7 and you get yourself 57 here. One more question for us to do, and then that's it for today. Just to give you a little bit of a note, what I'm teaching you now is actually going to be fundamental in A-level, some of this stuff, because we're going to rationalise a surd tomorrow. So, last one here. If you feel like you can go ahead without me, do. Otherwise, I'm going to do this one, and then you do one. So, 6 take away 4 square root 2, multiplied by 6 plus 4 root 2. That's a setup of a take away b, a plus b. So I'm going to use difference of two squares, a squared take away b squared. So here I'm going to say that's equal to 6 squared take away 4 root 2 squared. Now I'm going to do a bit of working. I'm not going to try and work out 4 root 2 squared in my head. I could do it, guys, but I want to get examiner's method marks. So 4 root 2 squared means 4 root 2 multiplied by 4 root 2. And as we did before, I just do the 4 times the 4, which is 16. And then I separately do the root 2 multiplied by the root 2, because you can multiply in any order, and that gives me 2. And 16 times 2 is equal to 32. So therefore, going back up here, I've done my working down here. This is 6 squared is 36. Take away 4 root 2 squared, which we just said is 32. And 36 take away 32 is 4. And we're done. Last one for you to try. So hang on in there, and then we're done for the day. Have a go at this one. Show all your workings and type in the chat what you get at the end. Wow, I'm getting some really good answers here at the end. Let's have a check on that. The answer, if you spotted it, was a difference to 2 squares, a take away b multiplied by a plus b. You'd have done 10 squared to subtract 3 root 5 all squared. You'd get 100, take away 45, and the final answer was equal to 55. Really, really impressed some of you got that. Now, let's just recap today and yesterday. Yesterday, we simplified surds. Today, we expanded brackets with surds. Tomorrow and Monday, we're just going to rationalize those bad boys, and then we're going to move on to a new topic. So it's going to get more difficult tomorrow. Make sure what we cover today is solid. In order to do that, what I recommend you do is I recommend that you, after this session's over, you go away for a little bit and have a relax and stuff. Then you come back here in an hour or so's time. You download the PDFs I put in the comments, and you redo the my turn, your turn for all of this work today without me, so you can remember you can do it, and then do the review exercise. I will also post all the answers, and the video will also be there for you guys to make sure that if you needed to rewatch, it's available for you. So I really appreciate you guys coming today. Thanks again. Remember, this is about trying to do something positive here. Please say a goodbye, and make sure you like the video if it helped you guys, and subscribe to the channel and share with your friends if you think it will help them. As time goes by, we will do more and more difficult stuff, but I really love talking to you guys today. Thanks very much, and look out in the comments for the files that I'm about to share. Nice one, everyone. Take care. Be safe, look after yourself, and thanks so much for joining. Keep positive. All right, bye-bye, bye.